Okay, so we're starting now, and thanks for joining today. So today's topic will, before going to that, uh, mm, we will, give me a second, I am just, my mouse is behaving a little, yeah. So quickly, as a last time, we'll be starting with some of the welcome introductions. And since it's the second session, so maybe it will be repeat for some of the people who joined the first one, but whoever has joined the this session onwards, they will understand why we are here and what we're going to discuss. Um, so this is the all level of our customer feedback program. So today we are on to a kind of uh, a customer live forum meeting. However, we have other way of getting a feedback from customer from idea exchange, special interest group and forums, and design partnership, customer advisory board, and strategy day. So depending upon what level of engagement you are looking from Micro Focus, let's discuss with us. And then though there are some of the uh, criteria for each level, but we will be able to share offline if you are interested to join any of these feedback programs. Anytime you can try to unmute you or chat, put a question in your chat window, or there is a question panel, and then we have some people who can be answering question in parallel. However, I can unmute you. You can raise your hand at any point of time. Again, we have some more customers added. So there are 3 or 4 new customer has joined since last time. So this is the list of customer who have registered. Um, this is not the list who have joined today. This is all the list of registered customer, and then we hope most of the customer would be joining us for meetings, but there will be exceptions that few meeting everyone cannot be available on that. Mainly it is driven through the 3 major groups. One is the product management group led by Alina, then myself, Pradeep, Alex, and Joe. We 3 reports to Alina, and then there's the core HCM product management group. We have a customer success team led by Brindisa, and Arun Pai is one of the key member in customer success, helping a lot of customer and partners in EMEA region. We do have in the AMS region Tom, and then Lakshmi, and a couple of more people. So if you are a Micro Focus internal, you will be knowing them. And if you are a customer, you've worked past with the customer success team, then great. And or if you need any help, work with the account team. They can introduce the customer success team depending upon your project status. We have R&D where our escalation managers or CB manager, and then R&D manager surprise here. We have a couple of more people with Sapra Swini, and last time Arun Pai did some work, and then we had also Anbu. So we'll be roping in the right people on the every forum to give some of the practitioner community the best practices for CSA and HCM. So what we are trying to achieve here, we're trying to build a HCM CSA practitioner community, which will be talking about best practices, some of the topic on technical deep dive. We'll be also discussing a product updates and then the future releases, and in some cases the early feedback on upcoming features as well. After the meeting, recordings will be available, and we also uh, want the customers and then partners to work with us through HCM community link, and then give us more feedback as well as ask questions through our community portal. The first topic today, we're going to talk about the when you upgrade from the old version of CSA and to the latest version of CSA. So in past we used to use Oracle JRE now, which is a paid version from Oracle, and we are allowing to switch from Oracle JRE to OpenJRE. And then we have Aswini going to talk more in detail what it is and how it is. So Aswini, take it away from here.
Hi everyone. So there has been a couple of requests from different customers where they wanted to switch from Oracle JRE to OpenJRE. So this is actually quite simple, and we can suggest this to the customers by you can take a look at all the steps that are involved here. Just make sure that the open JRE that we suggest to customer whenever they want to change from Oracle JRE is included in the CSA supported platforms. So if you go to the CSA version documentation, like 4.92 documentation, one of the example that I have given here, in the CSA supported platforms, you will find that JRE 1.8 is supported. So the supported JRE version can be downloaded from the Zulu site, and the content can be extracted into the CSA Home OpenJRE folder. And once you have extracted this, the path for the Java home should be changed in the standalone conf. The standalone conf or standalone conf bat, these files is available in the CSA home JBoss directory and standalone configuration directory. So this is how we change the JRE. But apart from this, there will be some certificates that customers would be having. So these certificates usually would be put in the CA certs on the Oracle JRE. So they have to be exported and they need to be imported onto your Open JRE. Once all these steps are done, restart your CSA and you should be able to work with your Open JRE. So these are the steps for Oracle JRE to OpenJRE replacement. However, there has been few requests where one of the customer wanted to upgrade the JRE itself, which was OpenJRE. So such requests should actually come through the CPE because we wouldn't have tested all the versions. So we wouldn't suggest this method to be used to upgrade your JRE unless and until these are under your supported platforms. Alex, can you move to the next slide? Yeah, in the recent past, we have found few of the issues coming on Elasticsearch. So we thought we will include this topic so that it would help in resolving the issues quickly. I just wanted to summarize what are the kind of configuration that we have for Elasticsearch and what are the issues that in the recent past that customers have been facing that we've been seeing in all the incidents. So usually whenever there is an upgrade, say from 4.8 P2 to 4.92 or 4.99, what we have seen is the Elasticsearch has been broken for many customers. So the main reasons what we've seen is the certificate configuration has either gone wrong or the Elasticsearch YAML or the app JSON has not been updated properly. And also for some cases, we needed to clean up and reindex the Elasticsearch indexes. These were the few categories that I can list out. So let me just explain briefly on what are all the Elasticsearch modules and what configurations we need to look at. In the Elasticsearch, there are three modules mainly, which is the Elasticsearch itself, and there is a search service, and we have CSS service. These are the three modules that communicate between each other for the global search to work. So the Elasticsearch, there are two main configurations. One is your certificate configuration, and the other one is your Elasticsearch YAML configuration. I will go in detail as to what has to be there in these configurations. And in the search service, app.json is the main configuration file, which is used for configuring the Elasticsearch. Then we have certificate configuration to be able to communicate between your CSA service and Elasticsearch. Then the cleaning up of indexes has to be done using the search service binaries. CSA service, there is only one configuration, which is in the CSA properties. We will have to update the MSVC host or the search service host. And the certificates, of course, has to be pointed from the certificates that are there in the CSA service. We need to point the search service app JSON configuration to point to the CSA service certificate. I will go into the details. Can you go to the next slide, Alex? Sorry, Pradeep. Yeah. In the search service, app.json is the main configuration. What we have seen here is in case of a cluster configuration, usually customers are confused as to what has to be used, whether they need to use the load balancer host name or do they have to use the node host name in different configuration parameters. These are the confusions that we have seen, and that is where the search service was broken. So in here, if you see, the search IDM URL has to be the load balancer URL, and the search engine URL has to be the node URL. Upgrade node 2 was the single node that I had, and upgrade 00 was the load balancer host name. Other than this, the IDM URL should point to the load balancer host name. And also the certificate, which is the CA parameter here, that should point to the JBoss cert, so that the search service is able to communicate with the CSA service. Here we have PFX, which is the dot key store. So in the search service, the dot key store should have your node certificate. These are the search service configuration. Pradeep, can you go to the next slide, please?
Yeah, and there is one question. Will you also elaborate on ES clusters config? So are you planning to cover that something on that question or?
Yeah, so what I'm talking about the configuration is about the ES cluster configuration. So here, when I say app JSON has to have the node URL, it means that the app JSON, which resides on that current node, that node host name should be there in the search engine URL. The load balancer URL, which is used as the cluster load balancer, that should be there for the search IDM URL and the IDM URL. These two should have the load balancer URL. Coming to the Elasticsearch configuration, can you go to the next slide, please? Yeah. Here in the Elasticsearch YAML, these are the main configurations that needs to be updated for, especially for cluster. So we have search authorization admin DN and search nodes DN. In this case, when it's a cluster, we need to have all the nodes details or the node certificate DN that you have should be entered in both the parameters of all the nodes. In this case, I had two nodes and I have entered the configuration for two nodes here. The discovery Zen hosts, which is the ping unicast host parameter, this should also have the node host names and the port also. This port is nothing but your Elasticsearch port. And when it comes to the key store and the trust store, so the key store and trust store path should be relative path and not the absolute path. So it's just since your Elasticsearch YAML file and your key store and trust store are in the same directory, you just need to give the file name here. When it comes to certificates, the trust store should have the node certificates of all the cluster hosts. This is where we've seen a lot of confusion because the load balance certificates are imported onto your CSA TS.jks, which is trust store of Elasticsearch, which is not required. The Elasticsearch would be communicating between the different nodes and it will not be going through your load balancer. So you do not need to have the load balancer certificate in your CSA ts.js, which is the trust store used by the Elasticsearch service. The node certificate, load balancer certificate would be in your JCA search, which is used by the CSA service, and your search service, not the Elasticsearch, but the search service module would be talking to CSA service, and hence the app.json should point to the CSA file there. So here, when it comes to Elasticsearch, load balancer host names in your discovery then or in the search nodes admin DN or onto your node certificates is not required. And your CSA KS is your key store, which is bound to the host on which your Elasticsearch is running. This is where we see a lot of confusion that customers are having, and we also have corrected the global search documentation recently, and for both 4.92 and 4.9 to make it more clearer. You can refer to the global search documentation now for even in 9.
So Ashwini, you are
Yes,
little
Alex,
bit
something.
breaking. Yeah, you are little bit breaking in. Is it me only, Alex, or?
Yeah, it is for everyone, Pradeep. Yeah, looks
Okay.
like.
Yeah. So maybe
Okay.
yeah.
So am I
Yeah.
clear now?
Yeah. You're better now. In middle, it was a little bit breaking. There is a question also from Michael. Why does the default config in app.json doesn't only contain IDM URL and not the search IDM URL? Is that question is clear or?
The default in the sense whenever the installer installs.
Yeah, app.json does not only contain IDM URL and not the search IDM URL. This is a question, and I will, if needed, I will just go and then unmute Michael, who is asking this question, and then he may uh, clarify. So, Michael, I'll trying to
Usually the
unmute you.
IDM URL would be like the load balancer URL and everything, and load balancer can be configured later. Sometimes we install node 1 and then we install node 2 and then we do the HA
Can you
configuration.
hear me?
So
Yeah, we can hear you
yeah,
now. Yes.
yeah.
Oh,
Yes, Michael.
perfect. We just have been basically in the process of installing again a second 499 node. Yeah. And I
Mhm.
just checked because we also saw in some of the documentation, is it IDM search URL or the search IDM URL should be set. And when you look into the standard app.json that is installed by the product, there's just an IDM URL and no search IDM URL. So we said, oh, that's probably a typo. But as I have seen now in your basically config example, both present, yeah, I thought
Yeah.
it's maybe not a typo, but in the default, if you check in, so in our defaults, it's always missing. Yeah.
Yeah, that's something that should be added. The
Okay.
configuration that I'm showing now is we have taken that from a working setup. So the engine URL and the IDM URL are both required. Can you please go one slide back, Pradeep? Yeah,
And
the
we
search
have the
IDM
search
URL.
and exactly this is missing.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so both are
Good.
required. You need to add that.
Uh,
And one more thing is the Elasticsearch version here, 5.5. And there is another Elasticsearch version just after this, the closing brackets of this MSVC basic search. After that tag, there is another Elasticsearch 5.5, which is there by default. And what we've seen is after an upgrade, customers try to replace the app.json and we lose this 5.5 version. And when this happens, the Elasticsearch service might come up and the search service also comes up. But what happens is you will not be able to search. You would not get any results
mm,
because your filters won't work. Your filters, it doesn't know what version it is, and the filters will not work and you will not get any result. This is another common problem that we've seen. So there are two Elasticsearch versions in the app.json which should not be removed.
Understand. I think we experienced that when we went to 492 in the past.
Okay.
Okay, thanks for the clarification. So we will change our config there. On the other hand, just a hint, please check if it should be there, then it should be in the default content after the installation, right?
Yeah, we'll verify, Michael. Michael,
Mhm.
thank you for your feedback. Thanks. So I'm moving on to your next slide.
Yeah.
Srini.
So
Yeah.
yeah. So another usually when the search doesn't work and your services are up and running, what we've seen is the indexes needs to be recreated, especially when the upgrade happens from 4.8p2 onwards, whether it is to 4.92 or 4.99. The earlier version of Elasticsearch that was used in 4.8p2 was 1.6.1. And there is a big difference. In 4.92, we are using 5.5. And the data folder that gets created, which is nothing but the cache of Elasticsearch, the older version doesn't work. So the reindexing is usually taken care by the upgrade installer itself. but sometimes it would have failed for some reason, and then the reindex has to be done manually. But the installer or the upgrade would not fail because it could not create an index, or the reindexing failure does not fail the installer. So installer might go to success. And so in that case, what you need to do is, these are the steps to do the cleanup. And what the things that needs to be cleaned up are your inventory and the Elasticsearch cache. This can be done by using the API that are given here, and you need to call a delete method for these APIs, and the basic authorization would be your Elasticsearch username and password, admin user and password. So once these cache and inventories are cleared, another cleanup has to be done on the DB, which is the statement here that I have provided. Update CSA catalog item, set the posted in ES as to N, which is no. So once you set this, you need to restart your service and then run the create index. Sometimes many customers have a lot of service offerings and subscriptions. They would be in thousands. And whenever we do this update on CSA catalog item, where we are making posted in ESS false, it takes time for, there's a monitoring thread that keeps running, and it again posts everything into ES cache. And it takes a lot of time, probably few hours. For some customers, we have seen it like 8 hours or so. So give it time, and then you have to test your global search once the cleanup is done. So these are the few items that we need to look at whenever there are any issues with Elasticsearch upgrade or Elasticsearch cluster. You need to see your certificates, you need to see the Elasticsearch YAML and app.json, and if a reindexing and a cleanup, if it is required, you need to run them. In case the search is not working and services are up and running, then maybe you need to clean up. So these are few items that I wanted to talk about today. So,
Thank you, Ashwini. Yeah, thanks a lot. And then if you have more questions, anyone, then just drop us an email. We will further take it more questions on this topic. Or if you need to know more, we can plan sometime in future, more detailed deep dive. But this is a good summarization of. Now the next topic, we have Alexa is going to talk about the recent addition of our thing like Terraform, and then he's going to present something on that.
I hope you're able to see my screen.
Yeah, we can see that, yes.
Great. Okay. Thanks everyone for joining this call, and thanks Ashwini for the first session. So in general, if you look at the HCM is a tool which can help you to provision and manage the infrastructure, and it brings its own automation module, which is nothing but the operation orchestration, which you're already seeing in the screen. And using this workflow designer, you can actually create a workflow and then use it as part of the component lifecycle, and then you can create the service blueprint. So today I'm going to show you how HCM actually acts as the master of master for every other automation tool. Like as you see on the screen, we have integration with the public cloud and private cloud providers and other automation tool that includes the Ansible and Terraform from HashiCorp. And today I'm going to focus on the HashiCorp integration, especially on their Terraform product. So if you look at, we are bringing like three main modules, which includes the deploy, which will go access the plan of the Terraform, and then it will apply the plan based on the configurations provided in the plan. And then if you want to, so once the plan is applied, automatically the service can be created on any public cloud that includes AWS, Azure, or even GCP. And the resource could be a simple compute, or it could be a database, or it could be any storage. So and along with that, we provide multiple tool sets to create any automation from the scratch without having to write any code. So you see a lot of operations here, like starting from creating the workspace, creating variables and utilities, and also even you can get the state version. So I'll be explaining that in a bit. So using this set of operations and the out-of-the-box module, I have created a project which will actually help me deploy a simple compute on the AWS public cloud. So if you look at the deploy module, whatever is available out of the box, so it has several operations which takes care of not only just triggering the request, but also to track and also get the required output in a file format. And further, we will be using it to show it as an output property. So this is the workflow which is already pre-created, and this is the workflow which I created just by simply dragging and dropping the library from the dependencies, and this is the simple flow. And it has like a few properties wherein in order to connect to the Terraform, I need to take the auth token and the org name and the workspace, and of course the repo ID, which is coming from the GitHub, and the input files that includes the sensitive variables and the non-sensitive variables. And if you look at here, we have provided auto apply, wherein once the plan gets verified, it can auto apply so that it will go and create the VMs and some proxy related information to connect to the public cloud. So I'm going to execute this and to show you how the HCM can connect to the Terraform, and it can actually provision a simple compute. As I mentioned, it's not just only for simple compute, it can do much more than that. It can create a database or storage or any of the resources based on your plan, of course. So now it is starting to connect, and it is going to take few seconds to create the workspace and then initiate the process of creating the VM. So now it is set to auto apply. So I'm going to show in the uh, Terraform, like this is the one which is just created this workspace, and you see that it is already verifying the Terraform plan whatever I provided as an input. So what will happen is like Terraform, it's not the functionality of HCM, of course, it is the functionality of the Terraform where it verifies. Since I've already set the flag as true for to auto apply, once this plan is successfully verified, it will start to auto apply, and you see that there is no need for any manual intervention to stop to check if the plan is finished, because if the plan is failed, automatically it will report to you, and then you can stop and go debug what is the problem based on the error or the output produced by the overflow. So here, if you look at it, has started to create the VM, and I'm going to show you if in the AWS console to see if any, yeah, there you go. So it has just started to create a new VM, and it is of size T2 micro, and it's going to take like a couple of minutes to complete this execution. So what we can do is I can just go show you what is happening here. So what will happen is until it gets the final result, the result includes the VPC, the network, the subnet, the security group, and even the IP address, everything it will capture and it will give you in the file format. And as I mentioned, this is just at the content level, and in the next step we will be yeah, it is done. In the next step, as a next step, we will be providing the out of the box designs and the offerings for you to create any instant offering by using these toolkits. So if you look at here, it provided the output. The output is nothing but a simple file which will help me to get the output properties, and so it is going to give me all the information that are provisioned on the public cloud. So as you see on the screen, it gives me VPC ID, subnet, network interface, everything whatever I am looking for to access or manage this particular instance, I get to understand from this simple file. And of course, you don't need to process this file as I mentioned in the new capsule that we will be providing. We will actually manage to get the data, extract it, and then produce it as a component property for you to use it to further deploy deploy a software or even deploy an application. So the idea here is to ensure that you can use any of your automation tool, be it Terraform or be it any other automation tool in the market, but HCM can actually integrate quickly using this out-of-the-box automation module, which is nothing but operation orchestration. And then it can actually not only trigger, but also get the output, and also it can manage the resources, whatever are provisioned by the external automation module. For example, in the marketplace portal, it may appear as a component, and then you can probably run some start and stop. So that's our objective. That's what we plan to introduce in the upcoming release cycle. So it's not, as I mentioned, it's not just only the deploy, but also I can update it. Maybe now as a first step, I actually created as a T2 micro, but then later I realized that I need a T2 small. So all I give is the input here, as you see on the screen, that I need a T2 small and the workspace and the organization, which I have to give the input to the Terraform. And again, I go and uh, trigger the flow, which will go access the configurations details, and then it will start to um, update the instances on the fly. So looks like I think I forgot to give a different workspace. Yeah, so so this basically will actually I can quickly check it to see. Okay, I think some connection issue, so let me not bother to debug. But at the end, what you can do is you can actually undeploy the module, which will go and undeploy or delete the resources, and then further it will clean up the resources. Wherein you don't need, and the end user need not to go execute any of this from the Terraform or from the Overflow. Again, as I mentioned, it will be available as a subscription, and when you cancel the subscription, the instance will automatically get deleted. So that's the capsule we want to provide. But for now, as I mentioned, we have all the toolkits which are available here, which can help you to deploy any module, update any module, and even undeploy the module. So any questions with whatever I have explained so far on the Terraform integration?
Yeah, if you have any question, just put in the chat window, or you can unmute your audio, then speak. And if you're not able to unmute, just raise your hand. I'll do that. Meanwhile, I'll switch the screen sharing to me, Alex.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. So, and let me know if my screen is visible.
Yeah, we can see.
Yeah.
So yeah, just to complete like what is in the box. You may want to go to the next screen. Yeah, so this is what we ship as part of the box, with a lot of utilities which you can create your own workflows, and of course we provide out of the box workflows also. Thank you.
Thank you, Alex, and it was really informative. And then if we need more detail, we can always set up a follow-up session. Thanks for this. And now I'm going to the next topic. Uh, so there is a poll question, and then I'm going to quickly put a poll. And if you're using any of the products, just mention that which product you're using, so that we can understand. And great if you can vote it in the next 20 to 20 seconds, so that we are able to. Okay, so I think we have a good number of votes. I'm going to close this poll, and I would share the result of the poll to you. And yeah, and we have a kind of a good mix of customer on CSA and HCM today. So great. I'm going to now move to a slide again. And then can someone confirm if my slide is visible again? Okay.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
good. Thank you. So again, the quick recap, we have a three when you talked about CSA and HCM. So we have a recent release of CSA 499. It has many more features, and then we discussed those features the last, but one of the thing is a Flash-based UI component is replaced with HCM. Flash is getting out of support by December 2020, so if you're impacted, please go to the current version of CSA or HCM. However, we have something called new HCMX, and then I'm going to talk a little bit more about it. We did talk last time on that quickly, but I'm going to talk a little bit more deep on that. So I'm going to skip another next poll question and then going to directly into the HCMX. So what is HCMX? So we announced a new product, or we say the new solution, and it's a successor of CSA and HCM. It's a new cloud management solution for Micro Focus. It's more focusing on simplifying delivery of multi-cloud service with the modernized user experience, embedded AI, and kind of a unified portal for all kind of services. So this is the main idea about this CMX, and I'll talk a little bit more on that. What use cases is delivered. So it delivers the core use cases of cloud management platform, which starts with the orchestration of service fulfillment. And the focus in two aspects we have. One is the content side, where the broad platform support, and not only about the service design, also about the cloud service aggregation. So you can create your custom service design and reuse the service design to create a very flexible and different kind of services, as well as we also aggregate from the public cloud vendor or even a private cloud all the templates at one place, which can be created as a service by click of buttons. Uh, Below those designs and those offerings, the end-to-end process automation helps to give full stack application service fulfillment, and also allows to provide the thorough service lifecycle management for both deployment and then any kind of day to action, whether a change of the resources or changing the state of virtual machines. And all together, everything can be built under this automation, and that most of those automation things comes as a out of the box flows, so that you reuse them to create your all service fulfillment engine. So that is the first major use case. Second use case, we need to apply governance as and as more public cloud is more and more public cloud is expanding. We need a more governance, and then governance has two aspects. Before fulfillment, you need to apply some governance, and we say dynamic rule-based governance. And I'll give a couple of quick examples. So for example, the user input has given for the parameters of your instances, and you want to validate and correct them. For example, the VM name or host name is not aligned with the configuration. You want to do that, so you can do configuration compliance using a dynamic rule by validating the input parameter and correcting it as needed. Other part of governance is about that who's consuming, and based on the consumption user or team, then you can apply the different kind of approval levels. And for example, if any service uh, uh, um, is asked by dev team, you may don't want to approval, you just want to deliver it, but service needed by the finance team or any other business team, you want to put an approval from the business manager. Third kind of approvals is based on the budgets, where if the service cost goes beyond a certain level of dollar value, you may want to put approval, and then you may also want to put additional approval. It goes beyond a high amount, so you can set more than $100, I need a one approval. More than $500 for service cost, I need a two level of approvals. So all those dynamic rules, you don't have to hard code them into your design and automation flow. This all can be dynamically added on top of design, and we have a dynamic rule-based governance engine for that. Uh, that is before even uh, uh, service deployment starts. Those can be applied, and then once service is deployed, then we track the cost and we provide the optimization of the cost, especially in the public cloud based on the reserve instance recommendation, where public cloud provides you can reserve your instance in advance at cheaper cost, but then you lose if you break those reserve instance for a shorter duration. So for shorter duration, pay as you go is good. For longer duration, reserve instance is good, and we analyze the subscription life, and then based on that, we suggest the recommendation how you should optimize your reserve instances purchase. common data model where all the service instances provisioned from the HCM or CSA or HCMX, we can integrate with the UCMDB, and in HCMX it is inbuilt so that it updates the UCMDB, and then the more other management solution can consume from the same rather than duplicating data. And third pillar is about the simplifying consumption, which starts with the consumer portal, and on the consumer portal, the catalog. So how do we organize a catalog? So we have provided a way in which on a catalog access can be set up even through the dynamic rule-based engine. So based on the user, the catalog items, an entitlement rule can be set up, and people can request and then see what they're allowed to see, and then they can request both subscriptions and then the state of their service request, and when the service is fulfilled, the subscriptions, and also data management of the service instances. In the backend, there is a dashboard for the admins to manage those deployed resources, and then drill down from that dashboard to find out if there is any issue and then fix that quickly instead of running around the multiple system and debug and find the root cause. It's all through a centralized console. They can debug up to a automation layer or which infra layer is failed, and it bubbles up to a dashboard as well. So these are the core use cases in HCM. Rather than doing a full demo of product, we are planning to talk about the one small piece of demo today, which is about the consumer portal. So I'll be demoing that. So in case you have used the CSA and HCM, and how, if you want to understand what is the difference between CSA and HCM, so I would say in HCMX, all the core capability of CSA and HCM are wrapped under a new portal. So marketplace portal of CSA and HCM has been replaced with a new modernized portal, which comes with a virtual agent and then a natural language processing for search and all. Even mobile app is there. And then second part is about the dynamic rule-based governance and then common data model. So which help you to apply your IT process without changing your design. So if your IT process compliance and configuration management needs to apply some of the rules and logic, you don't need to change your service design. You can just apply at the offering layer, and its dynamic nature, which means it depends based on the user input. It kicks the rule and then it takes the action based on that. And for that, you don't need to write any code. It's everything is a kind of driven through our inbuilt configuration, so that you don't have to worry across the upgrade if any of your custom code fails. And third, this whole on the platform which is built, we are making it a SaaS level uh, platform in which it should be able to install on any of the cloud native platform, as well as should support multi-tenancy and especially improve the install and upgrade experience. Uh, we are we are eyeing that the upgrade should takes in hours, not in even days. Even the downtime should go in the minutes, not in hours, when the system is getting upgraded. So that level of thing, because we are also going to build our SaaS solution of our cloud management, and we already have on this foundation our service management SaaS solution rolled out. So the whole platform on which these use cases are built is up to the level of SaaS grade. Uh, we also built in a way that on the same platform, based on the license, you can consume the one or more management solution. Either you can use it cloud management, or you can use a service management, or you can use it both. If you use it both, it's all pre-integrated, but then you get a more broader use cases. The integration is inbuilt. So for example, once the service is fulfilled using a cloud management like HCMX, you should able to create your ticketing or request change management based on those CI types stored by HCM into the UCMDB automatically. So don't need to copy data, and then in the UI you will find more user options, and then you can just start creating those modules without even looking at of any integration points. It's seamless. It's just like when you apply a license, more features are enabled. So there is one feature set for cloud management, one feature set for service management, and both are licensed separately on the same foundation. so customer has flexibility to choose one or more products on the same foundation. And that gives in a way, if they are really on-premise solution, they have to upgrade only one place. We have taken a next level where you can choose this management solution at tenant level. You don't need to choose for all the tenants the all management solution. So you can deploy a tenant A and who can only use a cloud management, and tenant B can use only a service management, and tenant C can use both. And at tenant level you apply the license. So that takes it pure a solution where you have flexibility, and based on the need of your business and business units, you can decide what solution you want to offer them. Uh, we call it a unified service delivery because we can bring both cloud management and service management solution on the same platform, and once using a both on the same catalog, you can find the cloud services and non-cloud services. Uh, uh, and even you are only using a cloud management, service management, or extending one solution to other solution, your portal remains same. So user experience doesn't change. And for backend teams also, the management of the platform remains same. So that gives a very easy way to manage the whole environment seamlessly. So with that, some of the differentiator, we call it, I'm not going to talk more because I would save some time for the demo, but at high level, a very flexible automation where you create a design automation, you make at each level, you expose as many as parameter, but then you make the end user very seamless that what parameter they have to provide it. So design may expose uh, 10 parameter, but the offering manager may decide to make it some of them default and then only expose 2 parameter for end user. So that level of customization of deployment can be done based on the design and then offering manager. And we'll be covering this part in next of the session, the more detail how you create an offering and how you take advantage of flexible automation. Second part of governance, both about rule-based governance and cost management. Idea is to lower your spend and then make sure your compliance policies are enforced. And third is about the whole user experience, which I'm going to demo today. But rest those two differentiator will be demoing it in the upcoming releases. So in a nutshell, three major capabilities, and HCMX is a single edition, so you don't have to look about HCMX as what feature in which edition. Single edition, all feature, which includes the service fulfillment aspect, which includes the service governance aspect, and which includes this portal aspect of catalog management and then managing a catalog for end customers. Uh, so before I demo that, we also say the whole product has a three major uh, users and personas who help to run the cloud management solution. One of them is a end user, which is the part of demo to me, today. And second one is the catalog admin or IT admin who creates an offering, puts them into catalog, and then manages those offering once they are triggered, and then manages the subscriptions based on those offering, and fixes issues and optimizes things. And below that, there is someone called service designer or automation engineer who makes sure that all infrastructure pieces are automated and exposed as a blueprint to a offering manager to create the service offering, a flexible service offering. And we'll be covering today end user aspect. In next session, we'll be covering about the cloud catalog admin aspect, who creates a catalog, and then how easily, seamlessly they can create an offering by enforcing all compliance and governance rules. And then we'll be future going into the service designer. One of the aspect of Terraform, Alex has shown today as a content, and he did mention that we are planning to offer that also as a capsule level where the service design can be built from on top of those Terraform content. So I'm switching my screen to the demo screen so that we see live instead of in slide, but I'll be, and then my session has expired. So let me quickly log in on this. So I'm showing the new our HCMX new portal, and it is replacing the marketplace portal. And I'm showing only the consumer aspect. So when consumer will log in or end user will log in, they would see this screen where, and this is all customizable. Even you can change the name of the portal, you can change all tiles, colors and all. It's very customizable. However, there is a category of the applications where they will look at, and in one place they can order and they can manage. So if they have already some of the requests raised, assume I raised a request for deployment of one of the service, and they would see all the stages of deployment seamlessly here. So once I order, it goes into the first request, then approval, and then once approval happen, then fulfillment, and then and after fulfillment of the validation step. So validation step is where the end user validates the solution meets the purpose, and then if he says yes, I'm happy, and then it makes it available. So if I click there, they have to accept it if they like the solution, and they see the full detail of the solution, what they have ordered, and then how it is looking into. That's all configuration, and they can verify that. And then once they find all detail, they can accept it. Once they accept it, then this is available, and it goes to the fulfilled state. So before that, they have to order any service. To order a service, we provide a lot of categories in which you can find the set of services. So one of the web application service, and then there's a catalog item set, and an admin has set up this catalog access to me, and based on that the pricing, and then for each and every service to order that, they have to click few buttons and provide some values, and then the value would be given, and then they can just fill it. So uh, and so and then once I provide all values, I submit, it is done. This is the one way. But for example, if you have a portal where you have a lot many web application, there is a two things. You can type a search here, and it can filter it, or you can also go to a virtual agent, and then you don't need to even go into the category. You just go to the global level and then say I want WordPress. And this virtual agent can be even trained to ask the relevant questions like why you need, what is the purpose of project, and it can record all those answers. So when I say I want a WordPress, and then it looks at all the available thing, and it gives you on Azure, you have WordPress on uh, AWS, but it requires approval. But you also have a simple one, WordPress doesn't require approval. And then they pick up the right one and then fulfill. And then once they're fulfilling, they can even chat with the live agent if needed to be for any kind of help if it's not going well. So this is all help. So this is the three ways they can do that. Either they can browse catalog, they can search it, or they can use the this virtual agent to order a service, and then all their services and assets are available here. They can see the once it is fulfilled, they can access their subscriptions, and on the subscriptions they can run their actions, lifecycle action for modifying, canceling, or they can manage their service instances. The management of service instance includes the details, as well as they can run any action. This again available in HCM or HCMX CSA, the same thing, but it's in the new portal, and then it gives a lot more easy. This portal is also used by the people who wants approval. So if they have approval rights, their all approvals will be listed, and then they can just approve it. And then they also got get an email notification as well as on the mobile app. So they can also install a mobile app, and then they can also request from mobile app or approve from mobile app as well. As there is something, a good feature is about you can request on someone's behalf, as well as you can delegate your approval. So if I'm on leave and I want to give it to Joe, the approval uh, mechanism, then he can just approve it, or I can give it to Alex then, and I can just decide at how much time I want him to give the approval, and then he can approve during my absence. So this is the some of the things in the portal, and we can go more detail in future. If you need more details, you can not only see your open close, you can see your cost reports. So there are a lot more data on that, and then its global search is there for all the thing, and also it has a constant context sensitive search is also there. So when you're in a specific menu, you search and within that, or you can search globally, and everything is kind of customizable, the portal side. So people can go and then customize it. And I'm not going to talk about all the customizations today, but quickly I would show that on the back end, the dashboard, this is for admin, and they can customize the portal look and feel completely then backend from here. Even they can change the name of a portal from cloud service portal to marketplace portal or something, and then as soon as you type and save and you refresh here, it will immediately refresh. So since the time is almost there, I'm switching back to the slide and then see if I have to cover anything before. And then I've not seen any question has been posted yet, but if you need more details on any of these things, please do provide the follow-up email, and or in the next session we'll cover up. We'll cover this more in depth. So this slide just shows those. So in your handout, some of these things are there. Couple of more polls. I will do it in the next time. So at high level, we are evolving from CSN HCM to HCMX, and we have a both business and technical migration plan. And if you want to discuss more, please reach out to us. We can do a deep dive with you on one-on-one and then explain the details. And I have included a lot of collateral here about HCMX on this slide deck, so you can look at that and then provide us a feedback. At the end of this session, you will get a survey, post-meeting survey, and then please provide, is it meeting useful, what future topics you want to listen or want us to address, and can we reach out to you for discussing the HCMX strategies. So if you are upgrading to within CSA and HCM or planning to go to HCMX in future, we can always engage and we can make you design partner so that you can also help us to shape up any of your requests of the past into that. And the next meeting is on November 19th. You will be getting 1 day prior notification, and at any point of time you can watch recording, or you can also forward your colleague for registration this link so they can also join that. So I'm about almost top of the hour. If any last minute question, I will be happy to answer, as well as I'm hoping to see you next time for more details. And then we'll be having a series of HCM. So today we talked about consumer portal at high level. We'll talk about the offering management. We'll talk about the catalog management, governance rules, and then cost governance in future. Every meeting, one after other, and I'll be posting them in advance, the agenda of a specific session. Hopefully it was useful. I have not seen any question has been posted on the window. So either it was very clear or it was kind of you want to see something else, then please let us know. If we wanted to focus on some other topic which is more helpful than this content, so we are open for all suggestion and feedback. So last 10 seconds, any question, because we are 1 minute overboard. If you have to raise your hand, and then otherwise I'm going to close the session in 10 seconds more. Thank you for joining and thanks for time. Hopefully we'll be able to cover more topics in future of your interest. If this was not all what you intended, please fill up the survey to provide that feedback, what topics you want us to cover in future. Thank you everyone. Bye bye. I'm just closing now. Have a good day or good evening or good night.